You are watching a master at work.
Hey y'all, welcome to the Christian Bae TV where Christ and culture connects. I pray that you guys are having a wonderful day. As you guys see from the title, cut! How y'all doing? So I am so excited that we are beginning to get in the flow of having two channels. The second channel is growing. We already knocked 2 videos out the way for the second channel, and it is dropping next September. Now, before the second channel drops, we need to go over some ground rules. Rule number 1, I do not want to hear y'all baby daddy drama. Just because I started a love channel does not mean I need y'all coming to work venting about what Dante did. I don't want to hear that. Now, y'all are coming to work to work. This is not a therapy session. If y'all want to book a one-on-one or a mentoring plan, then that link will be in the description. But when y'all come to work, don't be bringing y'all baby daddy drama to me. I don't care what Ray Ray told you he was going to do and he didn't do. You chose him, sis. Like, no, that's not gonna work for me. I don't need y'all bringing y'all problems to work. There's a time and a place for everything. And when it's time for the Christian Bae TV, everything else must stop. No, because you're always complaining about him and what he do and don't do. But you have to understand, he don't have to bring McDonald's for your other kids that are not his kids. He don't have to do that. So for me, I just feel like that's common sense. So when you come to work, don't pull me to the side before it's time to record because you want to vent about him and McDonald's. Baby, I'm a Chick-fil-A girl. I don't even want to hear about the Golden Arches. Hey y'all, welcome to the Christian Bae TV where Christ and culture connects. I pray that you guys are having a wonderful day. As you guys see from the title, we're back with another episode, and today we're talking about recognizing generational curses in relationships. I'm so excited, so pressed to get into this one because relationships is like my favorite topic, y'all. And the way that this series came about was so genuine and like authentic because it's like before each episode, God allowed me to have unplanned conversations with people in my family that led to the next episode of the series. So this is recognizing generational curses in relationships. This is going to be the last part of the recognizing generational curses series. If there's another part that you would like me to do or a topic that you would like me to touch on in the future, feel free to leave it in the comments and I might come back with another generational curses series in the future. I don't know what God's plan is, but for now, this is the last part. So next week's episode will be back to where Christ and culture connects, and it will be about another celebrity. So I'm so excited for you guys to see that episode next week. But for this week, we're getting into recognizing generational curses in relationships. But before we get into that, you guys know I usually do outfit of the day, but I dropped a try-on haul on my channel this past Saturday. There's another try-on haul dropping this Saturday, and it's with Fashion Nova. That's where this top is actually from. So this complete look will be in that try-on haul. So I'm not gonna go over it in this video. Go hit the bell notification so that you don't miss any uploads and so that you can see all of my new looks in the new try-on haul that's dropping this Saturday. As far as the fragrance of the day, y'all, I've really been liking the little dip. I gotta address that. Makeup on it, hold on. Ooh. I gotta address that. The dip been dipping and giving me what it need to give. Like, I don't know, I love the long nails, but the short nails, it just gives busy typing, busy working, busy making boss moves. Like, that's what it gives me. So I'm loving the short nails. Versace Yellow Diamond. And y'all, I have it on right now. As y'all see from the bottle, it's time for another bottle. I have it on right now, and literally every time I move, it's like slapping me in my face because it's on my wrist, and it's just like slapping me in the face because it is a very bold scent, but it is still very dainty. I feel like when you guys smell the fragrances that I recommend, they all kind of flow together. I love a good feminine scent, a good dainty scent, whereas like when I walk in a room, I demand the room, but I'm also still soft at the same time, and Versace Yellow Diamond definitely does that. I love this. I also love the detail of the bottle. I feel like it looks so cute sitting with the other perfumes on my dresser. So I would highly recommend this. I am going to include a link in the description for you to check it out. I'm actually not sure what sizes it comes in because this was a gift, but if there's more than one size, I'll include that in the link in the description as well. I don't know if they have samples, but is worth a try. Try it out, put it on your skin. And remember, I always tell you guys, perfumes smell different on each person because it mixes with your natural body scent. So the way it smells on me is not gonna smell on you. So I will always suggest that you guys get some samples so that you can try it out, see if you like it, see if it mixes well with your body oils, and see if it just makes you feel like that girl, okay? Next, let's move on to today's lip combo. I didn't do a nude. Y'all don't be complaining about the nude, so I actually love y'all. Like, first of all, let me just say this, I love and appreciate y'all so much. All of my loyal baes, all of my new baes, if this your first time here, I love you too. We are growing, we are on the road to 10K. I think we're at like 6,500 right now, and I'm just mind blown. And I thank you guys so much for subscribing, and every time you leave a comment, liking the videos, sharing the videos, I really appreciate you guys. I am gonna do a 10K giveaway, so I'm so excited for us to reach that milestone together. And I just want to stop and say thank you to everybody that's on this journey to success with me. We are praying our way to success, and y'all be holding me down, so shout out to y'all. But today's lip of the day is actually, it's not a nude. It is still the same brown lip liner, okay? I just gotta do that. But the lip that I did was Sparkling Rose by e.l.f. And I'll link this in the description as well. As y'all can see, this is almost gone. This is one of my faves. I actually think it's a plumping lip gloss as well. It is lip plumping gloss. Lip plumping gloss. Now, I don't need any help in the plumping area, but I just really like the color. Y'all ain't see my hair frizzing up? What? Hello? Now, I just love the color. And let me try to show you. I love the color because it's like the natural color of my lip, but it just makes it a little more pigmented. And it's like a color, when you want to wear a color but you don't want to wear a lipstick, you want something more natural, this is perfect. This is the color Sparkling Rose. This is actually my second tube of this. I use it all the time. It has like a tingling feeling because it is plumping. I get it from Target for like $6, and it lasts a long time. So that's what I have on today with a black liner. But then on top, I put the NYX lingerie gloss in the color Clear, just because I wanted to look like I had just finished eating fried chicken. So, you know, you just get some of this like this. And that's how you do that. That's it. So that is today's lip combo. I will also include both of those glosses in the description if you guys would like to try them out. And that is all we have for the me portion of it. Now let's get into the recognizing generational curses in relationships. So I actually want to give you guys a little background on this whole loves channel that God is leading me to start. He's made me realize during this time that he's always been preparing me to have an area of purpose where I help people with relationships and marriages, and it's just hitting me now. So when I went to Old Dominion University in Virginia, if you guys are familiar with my testimony, you know I went to school in Virginia, Old Dominion, and when I went there, my minor was communications. And with communications being my minor, I took a lot of classes centered around communications. But you know, when you go choose your classes, they had a lot of classes that were centered around relationships and marriage, and I'm a married woman in college, so of course I took them. So I took classes that were about love languages. I took a class called interpersonal communication. I took, one of my favorite classes was this class that was called communications between the sexes. And in this class, all we did was talk about how males communicate versus how women communicate, how females communicate. And like the professor would give us different activities to do and try out, and it'll be male versus female, and we would basically see like how the woman said something but how the man received it, and then how the man said something and how the woman received. So that's what the whole class was about, communications between the sexes. I took another class called nonverbal communications that basically teaches you how to read people's body language in communications, whether that's in business, whether that's in family, or whether that's in relationship. It teaches you how to read their body language. I'll give you guys one gem that class dropped. One thing they taught us in the class is like, if you're about to say something that's harsh to someone, or you're having a really important conversation and you're about to express how you feel, and it may not, you don't want it to rub the person the wrong way, right? It's not necessarily harsh, but you're disagreeing with them. A way to make the person receive what you have to say better is by touching them. And if you touch that person and you say what you're about to say, it kind of eases the blow. Like, this class, it taught us all of that, how to read nonverbals, how to give nonverbals, how to do this if you're trying to get this message across, and this will help. So when you touch the person, it's basically letting the person know, I know what I'm saying is hurting you, but me physically touching you is letting you know that I still love you and it's coming from a place of love. Like, try it out, y'all. I'm telling y'all. So this was the classes I took in college, and that's why I love my college experience so much. God hand chose that college for me. So my minor was communications, and all the classes that I took for my minor were relationship classes. And when I was doing work and brainstorming for this new love channel, God was just showing me, like, I've been molding you for this. I've been calling you into this. I had you studying this in college. I had you preparing for this in college. When I would go to different events at college, it would always turn into somebody asking me about relationship or marriage advice. And I'd be like, I'm still figuring it out, and y'all acting like I'm an expert. But it was because God has given me the mantle of marriage. He's given me the mantle of relationships. So it was a certain grace that I had over that specific area. And just reflecting on that this week and preparing for this second love channel, God has shown me that I've been preparing you for this all along. So that's pretty much what I've been going through and talking to God about and preparing and planning for the past 2 weeks. Now, last weekend, my cousin came over. Now, this cousin, her dad is my mom's brother, my Uncle Wayne. But my Uncle Wayne passed away a couple of years ago. Rest in peace, Uncle Wayne. And she is his daughter. She don't really be around a lot of family functions and stuff like that, so we don't have a lot of time to talk. So she came to my house, and it was me, her, and my mom sitting down talking and just catching up, because I haven't seen her since like February. And somehow, like it always happens with me, it ended up her talking about some stuff that's going on in her relationship. And I don't know how I turned into the therapist, but y'all, everywhere I go, every conversation I have, it turns into relationship or marriage advice from me. And I just be like, how did we even get here? Like, how did we get here? So it turned into that. And with that conversation, what it highlighted to me was a generational curse that I had already recognized in my family. But I didn't realize that it would affect her because, like I said, her dad was my mom's brother. So her mother is in another family. But even though her mother isn't attached to my grandmother, the generational curse still hit her. Now, God revealed this generational curse to me while I was at Old Dominion University. It was one November, which is Thanksgiving. It was one Thanksgiving break. I didn't come home. And I didn't come home because it was the week before finals, and I was gonna come home for winter break. So I was like, instead of flying from Virginia for Thanksgiving weekend and then flying back to take finals and then flying back after finals, I might as well just stay here for Thanksgiving. So I stayed there, but I actually went to visit her family and meet her family for Thanksgiving break. Her family lives in Delaware. And y'all, when I was with her family, like, it was just a different vibe. And it was like everybody in her family was in relationships. She has like 3 brothers and 1 sister, and her mom and dad still married, and they all had their significant others. She was single, so I was her +1, I guess, her best friend. So, but everybody there had their significant other, and it was like a culture shock for me because in my family there's only 1 person that's married. I only have an uncle that's married. Everybody else is just single or dating and things like that. So it's not a lot of marriages or not a lot of long-term relationships. Like, it's like, you know, it's easy to get swapped out in my family. I'm gonna just say it that way. Like, you could get replaced. That's the mindset, but we're gonna get into that. So when I went around her family, it was just a different love dynamic. Like, I'm talking about, I woke up and came downstairs, her mom and dad dancing in the kitchen, like dancing in the kitchen, cooking breakfast on the side. I'm like, what in the hallmark is going on here? Like, I don't ever see this. Like, this is new for me. And I knew that God was exposing me to that for a reason, because he was showing me, like, love is important, and this is what it feels like when you're in an environment filled with love. Now, of course, I'm sure her family has their issues, like every family does, and things like that. That's not what I'm saying, that they're this perfect Cosby family. What I'm saying is what God wanted me to be exposed to. So after that Thanksgiving break, I came back home for winter break, And I'm back around my family. My family is like the turn up family, taking shots. It ain't nothing to cut that off. Like, you can go because we over here having a ball. Like, it don't even matter. Everybody just act like they good. Ain't nobody ever heartbroken. Ain't nobody ever tripping on nobody because anybody can, like, that's the dynamic of my family. But it was just different seeing a love dynamic and seeing everybody with their significant other. And it wasn't just with their significant other, they were also showing affection and showing love. Like, everybody in the room knew this person loves this person. Like, look at how he's over there hugging her. Look at how, like, the embrace, the PDA. My family also don't do PDA. So it was just a whole different thing for me. It's very different. And I feel like that's where God started opening my eyes to see the difference in what goes on in my family opposed to other families. Now, what that did for me is that began to make me think about my marriage, and it's just like, I want the type of dynamic that I saw in her family. I want my children to see that growing up, but being that I'm the product of you can get replaced tomorrow, I know that that's the energy I was given. Like, it ain't really nothing because they lined up waiting on me. Like, because that's the energy that I was producing and I was raised around. So then I began to pay attention so that I could move differently, because I want dancing in the kitchen on Saturday morning. I feel like back then is when God first began to show me or make me begin to pay attention to the dynamics of love in my family. And I'm just going to share with you guys the main generational curse that I recognized in my family. And hopefully through me sharing how I recognize it in my family, you can look at your family and see whether their way of relationships and love line up with the word of God, or whether you need to move differently so that yours does. So when I came back around my family, you know, I'm steady growing in my relationship with God, and I'm seeing what God says about love. The greatest of all of these things is love. You know, love your neighbor. God is love. So I'm just paying attention, and I'm just sitting and looking at, like I've been saying throughout this whole series, I did a lot of sitting and paying attention, and I realized that the generational curse in my family is that love isn't really valued. And what I mean by that is, I feel like love is treated like it's easily replaced. So because it's easily replaced, there's not a lot of effort that goes into it. So like a popular saying in my family that me and all of my cousins heard a lot, oh, you can have friends. You can have friends, you know, like that. I know y'all done heard them for, even though you're in a relationship, you can have friends, or you could date this person, or you could just, what's wrong with going out to a dinner? What's wrong with going out to, like, things like that, or seeing this person dating somebody and then they break up, but then the next family function they got a new person around, and then the next family function they bringing that person back around, and it's just like, but you was okay, I'm gonna just act like I didn't know what happened last. Like things like that, because it's like this trend of easily replacing people. And I feel like it sets the tone of relationships not being as important. And I've actually had a cousin say to me, like, the only good relationship I've ever saw in my life was this person's relationship, and now that I know what this person does in their relationship, I don't even want a marriage anymore. I don't even want a relationship anymore. Like, I've had a family member say that to me. So that even helped me further realize, like, this is a curse. Like, no one is seeing God's definition of relationship and love in the family. So it's just passing down these toxic example of love, and is making the younger generations lose hope and feel like, if I can't see anybody in my family get it right, I know I'm never going to get it right. So that's just things that God has been showing me. So when my cousin came last weekend and we began to sit down and talk, we were talking about her relationship, and I was talking to her about trust, and I was talking to her about respect, because like I said, there's not a lot of respect for relationships or marriage according to God's word. And I'm trying to be careful, because y'all, I can't speak for everybody, but based on what I'm seeing, according to God's word, there's really no example in our family that reflects the way that God said marriage and relationship is supposed to be. So it keeps leading to failed relationships and failed marriages, because no one's following the blueprint that God left behind, because they're too busy operating in a place of, oh, I ain't tripping, I don't care, so-and-so could be replaced. Like, nobody ever heartbroken. Nobody, it's like you're the joke of the family if you care too much, or you're the joke if you're heartbroken, and that's normalized. But the issue is, you keep dating because you do want that love, but you don't have anybody that's showing you the example, the way that God says do it, so that you can get the outcome that God says you will get. That's what a lot of people miss, is that If we want the love that God talks about, we have to do it God's way. He created it, so he knows how to have it in a way that will lead to the success that everybody wants. Jumping from relationship to relationship, if you're taking the same baggage and the same mindset and the same patterns with you, you're going to get the same result. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. How about you stop after the first failed relationship and say, God, show me what I need to do differently so that I can get a different result in my next relationship, right? So these are things that God had to teach me. Nobody in my family taught me this. Nobody in my family sat down and said the importance of making it work and standing and praying. There was never those talks. It's just, you can have more than one, you can have friends, like that's the dynamic. And I was just like, God, there's no respect for relationships and love. That's why we don't have an example of healthy love, relationship, and marriage to look up to, right? So when I was talking to her and she was talking about her relationship and I was identifying some of the same things that I see within my family, I told her, you know, this is a generational curse. You know, you're thinking like this person and you're operating like this person, and this is how grandma did, granddaddy, and you see how that turned out. So I just want you to identify the curse that's happening. And she said to me, she said, you're the breaker. She literally said, I can't believe I'm sitting here talking to my little cousin about this. I used to change your diapers. And I was just sitting, y'all, this is before I made the love channel. I made the love channel the next day because I was just sitting there like, she's right. Like, I know that God has given me this insight. I know that God has given me this knowledge to see, and it's because he wants me to break it. He wants me to finally allow my family and the generations after me to see the example that we have all been lacking in this family. So she was like, you're the breaker. And in her relationship, like I said, her dad is my mom's brother who has a different dad from my mom. So even in her relationship, it still got down in her bloodline a lack of respect in a certain area. So I wanted to show you, give you guys that background and allow you to see how when you recognize the generational curse in your family, you can see how it affects both male and female. So the generational curse in my family is a lack of respect for relationships. And if you don't respect relationships, you don't understand how important relationships are, whether it's relationships and friendships. You treat people like they're replaceable, and eventually people recognize that you're treating them that way, and I'm good off you. You know, that's why it doesn't last. And if it does last, it's not genuine happiness. It's just you two dealing with each other. So being that it's a lack of relationship, that's why I said it's popular to hear, oh, you can have friends, you can have more than one, oh, don't be heartbroken, oh, don't care, you know, let's just drink, let's just turn up. But then everybody's really sad deep down because you actually do want somebody, you just don't know the healthy way to have somebody. So the way that I identified it in the women is that a lot of women in my family, and I'm being careful with what I say because I can only speak on the ones that I've spoken to. So I'm saying in my family, but I'm not talking about everybody. It's just the family members that I discussed, that I spoke with this about. So the ones in my family, I recognize that a lot of women in my family actually do want to be married, but they're not. And I feel like they're not because the dynamic is always a relationship. They could be replaced. It's nobody really talking about the importance of a relationship and teaching the biblical way to do relationship. There's nobody that's setting that standard of, no, it is important to fight for your spouse, and no, understand that sometimes it is going to take compromise. Like a big thing in my family is my way or the highway, and I'm cool with you taking the highway because I'm gonna replace you. But then you sad because you keep having to replace people because you need to get it right in your mind that it's not just your way. So I recognize that a lot of women in my family actually do want to be married, but they don't have the keys and the tools to obtain this thing that they are craving, and they cover it up with, I don't care. But deep down you do care, because in small conversations you mention, I can't believe I'm not married yet, or you'll put on a costume jewelry but you put it on your ring finger to make it look like you engaged, but you're really not engaged. It's little small things like that that God has allowed to be highlighted. And it's just like, my family does crave kingdom godly marriages that last, but they cover it up with, I'm good, I don't care, because I can replace them, right? So that's how I recognize it in the women, is that being that there's not a lot of respect for relationships and marriage, they crave it, but they cover it up as they don't care. So then when they do have a significant other, they're not really, like, they're happy they have it, but they don't really know how to show it because they're so used to operating in the I don't care masculine role, right? So that's how I recognized it in the women. And that's another reason why I was like, God, I gotta tap into my feminine energy, because this ain't that. So as for the men, the way that I recognize this same generational curse, which is a lack of respect for the relationship, and a lack of respect for the significant other, is that being that this is the dynamic of the women in the family, a lot of men in the family choose women that reflect the same thing. And what I mean by that is choosing women that don't speak to them kindly, or don't show them a lot of affection, or is very like masculine and standoffish, and you're not going to see any PDA, or you're not going to see any words of affirmation from these women. These are very masculine women, very strong women with bold personalities, because the men in my family have seen that dynamic of women that are masculine and don't care and nonchalant and might get slick with you and might cuss you out, but they still with you. Because that's the dynamic of the women, the men are choosing women that reflect that same thing. It's crazy when you really sit down and think about it. I'm just like, all of the women that the men in our family are dating reflect the same characteristics as the women in our family, or my grandma. Like, they have her same demeanor and her same I'll cuss you out at the drop of a dime, but if it's time for me to give you words of affirmation, I can't really do that. Like, that's an uncomfortable area for me. They're choosing women that reflect that same thing. So God allowed me to see this in the men and the women, and he said the curse is just operating in two different ways in the men and the women. The women are possessing these characteristics, and the men are choosing women that possess these characteristics. And it's affecting the men because you're not being spoken to like the king that you are, because you didn't choose a woman to speak to you like a king, because you never saw a woman speak to a man like a king, because nobody in the family set that standard based on the word of God, because everybody is so careless and turned up and easily replaced. So this is how you recognize generational curses in your family. You begin to look at the dynamics. Okay, is everybody single? Is everybody in and out relationships? Do they have entanglements? Okay, they're married, but their marriages aren't lasting. Why is everybody marriages not lasting? Is there any similarities in the mindsets? Is there any similarities in the actions? Do my auntie do the same thing that my mom do? Is my mom doing something that my grandma did? I hear grandma still talking about granddaddy, but she couldn't keep granddaddy because she didn't know how to speak to granddaddy. And I'm seeing that none of the aunties know how to speak to their men, and the men are choosing women that can't speak to them. So it's a curse because it's not based on the word of God. It's not what Christ said to do. So this is how God allowed me to recognize the generational curse in relationships and marriages in my family. I pray that me breaking it down that way will allow you guys to begin to look at your family, and how you're able to point it out is compare the relationship or the marriage dynamics in your family with the word of God. Because when you really sit down and talk to different family members and really begin to dig, you'll realize that some of the stuff that aunties say align with the stuff that grandma said, and some of the stuff that grandma said align with the stuff that great grandma said, because everybody's just following the same advice. They're just following the same blueprint. They're just following the same mindset. So God had me do the work, y'all. God had me do the work, sit down, pay attention, and most importantly, align everything up with his word. This is what my word said. My word says, wives, honor your husbands. Do you see anybody in your family honoring their husband? My word says, husbands, love your wives based on my love. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love is understanding. Love does not keep track of wrongdoing. Do you see any men in your family loving their wives according to the way that God says? No. Okay, so how are they? Recognize. The only way you can break a generational curse is you must first identify it, and then that's when you overcome it, right? So this is the mindset and the way that you go about recognizing generational curses in relationships, so that you don't carry it in your relationship or carry it in your marriage. I was already married when God allowed me to see this, so it was like undoing what I've already been doing, so the work was twice as hard. But I feel like that's why God has led me to start the second channel, because I have done the work, y'all. I've done the digging, I've done the talking. I done talked to my mom's side of the family as well as my dad's side of the family. I know the generational curse over there and the generational curse over here. I recognize how both sides affect me in the way that I thought and the way that I think, and my prayer list is super long, because every day is, God, take this out, take this out, take this out, take this out. So the conversation with my cousin, I was just like, wow, I never even would have thought that it reached you, because her dad is it's not the mom side. I'm thinking that she's gonna have her mom's side, but even my grandma's genes reached her as well, and it's showing up in her relationship. And I gave her this homework to do, and she texted me the next day and she did it, and she was like, her boyfriend was so excited, and she was like, she felt good doing it. And it felt good for me too, knowing that, like, God, you're giving me the tools and the keys to break this generational curse and also help people in their relationships. I love, help people in her future. You want to get married to him, help her in her future marriage and things like that. So God is basically just like, everything that I've poured into you this past 7 years that you've been married, I want you to share on this channel. That is the purpose of Back to the Basics. The link to that channel will be in the description. That is my second channel. The first video is dropping September 2022. I'm so excited to see what it grows into. I thank you guys so much for watching this series, Recognizing Generational Curses. We talked about being the black sheep. We talked about mindsets, patterns. Now we're talking about relationships and marriage. This was such a good series. I pray that you guys enjoyed it, but most importantly, I pray that it informed you and equip you to break, tear down, identify, and uproot any generational curses in your family. I love you guys so much. Make sure you give this video a big thumbs up. Make sure you share this video with people in your family, people that are trying to have godly relationships or trying to have godly marriages and can't figure out where they're getting it wrong or what is wrong. It might be a mindset based on what you were raised in or what you were taught by your family. And if you're watching this video, God is telling you, I need you to stop doing relationships and marriages the way that your family do it and get in my word and begin to do it my way, because that is how you have success in your relationships as well as your marriages. I love you guys so much. Thank you for watching another episode of The Christian Bae TV, and I'll talk to you guys next week. Bye. You know what, Kiki, don't even worry. I know that he be tripping, but with this new channel, we're gonna get you right. We're gonna get you right. And you know, we all make mistakes with choosing men. We all do. Because when you know better, you do better. And you didn't know better. But now, we're back to the basics. We getting back to the basics of doing love God's way. And your end result gonna blow your mind, girl. So don't even trip. Wasn't nobody talking to you, because your girlfriend, she be keeping you from going to church on Sunday. And I would say it's a no for me. It's a no for me. She's not it. So don't even be trying to scoot your way into this conversation until you scoot her out your life, okay?